Welcome to this section of our tutorial. In this video, we are going to see how to use two important tools in Excel. These tools will permit us to make search and get results from our data which has been entered. So basically, this is what we'll be doing. For example, here you can see we have a table of customers, ID, and the gender, annual purchases, annual salary. And here we have I can call this a search table, whereby if I select the customer's ID, I'll automatically have the annual purchase of this customer. If we check here, customer C13, his amount is actually the $6,560, and you can see it came here automatically. So this is what we'll be seeing in the course of this training. So the two tools we'll be looking at is data validation and the Vlookup function. We'll start by data validation. As you can see from here, you will see a drop-down list which permits us to select the customer's ID, and you can see all these customers' IDs are just exactly the same which are located here. So how do we come about to come up with such a list? So we start by standing in the cell where we want the list to appear. We go to data and we look for data validation. At the level of data validation, when you click on it, this is what is going to show up. This is the window that shows up, and the validation criteria for now is any value, but we don't want it, or we don't want this cell to be in terms of any value. We click on the drop down list and we instead want that cell to have a list. So I'm going to select here a list. So if we're talking about a list, obviously we should have data in the list. So we are going to call for a source of data. So here we will design what should enter in that list. Simply, I'm going to come back to my worksheet, and my list has already been prepared. So I just select the area. You see automatically it is going to inform our source that it is from A3 to A13. I've selected the area, then I click on OK. If we come back here, you will see automatically there is already a drop-down list containing the information of our customer's ID from this table. That was the very first important tool. The next tool is we want that as we select a customer's ID, we have the annual purchase of this customer appear here automatically. This can help us to make simple, good research and even produce beautiful results that you can't imagine for now. We'll be seeing more of this later. But let's see how to bring up the unit or the annual purchases for the customer. For this, we are going to use the powerful Vlookup function. If you are doing Excel or you're studying Excel and you don't know how to manipulate the lookup function, then you have not studied Excel. So we are going to see the next function, which is the Vlookup. The Vlookup is a function, or it stands for vertical lookup. It is a function that makes Excel search for a certain value in a column in order to return a value from the different column in the same row. So it is a function that makes Excel search a certain value in a column in order to return a value in a different column in the same row. What does that mean? We want that as we select the customer's ID, it should look for the purchase amount of that customer ID and relocate the amount here. So how do we go about that? We go directly into using the function, I will say equal to Vlookup. So the first argument is the lookup value. The lookup value is what are we looking up to. we are looking up to the customer's ID. So I select the customer's ID. This is what we are looking up to. Now, we have the next thing, which is the table array. So I put my semicolon, the table array. Where should we look for this information? In our table. So I select the complete table without putting the headers, just the information. The next thing they will ask for is the column index number. Okay, we are looking for this customer's ID in this table, but from which column number should we, or in which column number does annual purchase actually appear? So in this table that we have selected, we have column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the information we need is in column 5, which is the annual purchase. So simply here, I'm going to put my column index number to be 5. I put my semicolon, and they're asking if I want an approximate match or an exact match. So it depends on me. I'll put 0 for an exact match, and I close bracket and I click on enter. If you see here, this is C13 and the annual purchase is 6,560. If we check here, you realize that it is actually 6,560. So you see how powerful this function is. It succeeds to get the annual purchase of this customer's ID. So if I change the customer, you see the annual purchase is changing. If I change the customer, the annual purchase is changing. Like, yes, C20, at C20 we have 0. It is very, very logical. So what is the condition for us to use these VLOOKUP functions we have just used? The condition is that the lookup value, or the row of the lookup value, should be the first row in our table. This table has been arranged in such a way that the customer's ID is the first column in the table. Hadn't been I was looking up to, for example, education. Education here is the 4th column. I will not be able to get the annual purchase if the lookup value is between the table column. If it is not starting with the lookup value, then I won't have a result. For example, if the lookup value was education, it is not the first column, and the value we are looking for is the annual purchase, which is the 5th column. This will not give, because education level is not in the first column. If I want to use education level as my lookup value, I will have to copy this information and make it on the first row, or I'll consider my table starting from education level to annual salary. In this case, you realize that the first column of the table array is actually education level. If I choose my table array to start from cities, and my lookup value down here is an information coming from the education, then it won't give, because education in this selection is not the first column. This is just how simple it is to use the VLOOKUP function. In the next video, we are going to use the index and the match function and see how powerful it is to perform the VLOOKUP job. So see you in the next video.